Yeah, I think I accidentally hit my mute button. But yeah, so our matchup tonight is between the left team being Zirconium League. That is the combination of Wood League and I believe Wood Tap that from last season. So two Wood-related teams now becoming the Zirconium League. And they won their first week so far, so looking very strong. They won that with a 2-1. And they're against the previous Division D champions, Bancho, who also won their first week, sitting at 2-1 as well on the maps. Thank you very much to Zoltos for the follow. So right now, we're looking at our first lobby, which is going to be Sky Temple. The coin flip went in favor of Bancho, and they wanted first pick. So Zirconium League went ahead and banned out Dragonshire and Infernal Shrines, while Bancho went ahead and banned out Braxis and Tomb. And then Zirconium League decided to take us over to Sky Temple. So starting with a nice, fun map here. Just waiting for one of the teams to hop in. Let's see. I don't think I have any of them added. There they are. Perfect. So we're going to be going to Sky Temple to start off, which is one of my favorite maps. In fact, I would say it's my favorite map, at least visually. So very excited to be going here. It's going to be a fun first map here. I think as far as how these teams are favored, I can't really say for sure. Zirconium League, at least from my experience, a pretty new team. Obviously, players who have been playing for a while, but some of them knowing each other, being on teams together. But given that it's a bit of a mixed group, not exactly sure who I would say is favored in this one. Bancho obviously is a very strong team as well, but they have definitely had their ups and downs. Struggled a little bit in the most recent Heroes Lounge season, which was in stark contrast to them being dominant and winning in Division D last season. So I'm excited to see how these teams match up. Like I said, currently in the standings, we're only at week 2, but they are even so far going into this matchup. So I'm really excited. I think we should definitely be able to get at least 2 very close and exciting maps. Hopefully get to that third map, have some fun there. So we're going to get started hopefully pretty soon here, just waiting on a couple members for this exciting matchup. Currently just waiting on 2 from the side of Bancho. Once again, sorry, we did have a bit of a late start, so there's going to be a bit of a wait here. We just got into the coin toss lobby like a minute before the match was meant to start, so going to be getting in here a little bit behind time, but I think it's worth the wait. This is definitely going to be a close series, I would expect, as Zirconium League's starring some of the previous starring some really strong players, members from Wood League, Wood Tap that rather, which was of course the #1 seeded team going into the Division C playoffs for C West. So very strong team there, as well as some members from Wood League, which was in C East and did pretty well. Also, I believe they finished 6th in the regular season, and they got a nice upset during the playoffs, so they definitely were a bit backloaded in the season, but played very well. So it should definitely be a close one here. Let me make sure I have all of my team members correct here for our 2 teams before we get into the match. Looking at... I believe that should be everyone right. So I think we're ready as soon as these teams are ready to jump into our first match. I'll go ahead and let them know that I am ready, and we can get started here as soon as possible. Thank you everyone coming out tonight. Hopefully we're going to have a nice exciting matchup, but we will see. Alright, looks like both of our teams are ready, so I'm going to hit the start game button, and we're going to get into our first draft of the evening here on Sky Temple. As I mentioned, the coin flip was won by Bancho. They wanted the first pick, so they're also going to have the first ban opportunity, which is pretty big here, because on this map, I don't expect Zool to be let through. I believe Zirconium League last week let Zool through once or twice, and so that won't be an option here, or at least I don't think it will be, as team fighting and rotations are huge on this map, and going against a Zool could be devastating for them if they do choose to let that through, but who knows, we will see. Meanwhile, though, we are going to be looking at the first ban from Bancho. I would expect potentially a Probrius ban here, and you might think, well, we're going to start with Deathwing, and that's fair. That's a normal meta ban, but you might think, why would I say such an outrageous thing as banning out Probrius? Well, Tlems, on the side of Zirconium League, who do indeed ban out that Zool, is a very, very strong Probrius player. In his time in NGS, has only lost one map with the Probrius, I believe. That was last week in the series, which they won 2-1 in the end. I believe he did get revenge in the third map, playing Probrius and winning that one to settle the series. So a very, very strong player there. We'll have to see if Bancho did their research. Looks like they're going to go for a Leoric ban here instead. So either didn't do their research or willing to let the Probrius through, which that is, we will see. But the quick Kael'thas ban, and now we have first pick for Bancho. What are they going to be opting for in this match? Given that it's Sky Temple, I could see high priority onto global heroes or other macro-focused heroes, such as I know Quinal plays a deadly Hanzo, and having that W-build Hanzo on this map, or even just a split Hanzo, can be very strong for the boss race. But it's going to be Li Ming for Quinal, actually, in the first pick. So looking for the combo mage with the poke, which will be very effective over the objectives, as well as in getting some early structure damage. Being able to poke down those towers is super, super effective. But as I mentioned, the Probrius is here, and so it's going to get picked up, as well as Johanna for Dead On. Really just a hero that you can't go wrong with in a draft. She fills so many different, she checks so many different checkboxes for a team. Wave clear, rotation presence, a solid front line with a self cleanse. She is really solid all around. Looks like it's going to be Varian here for Ronin, and Bluestein going to pick up his Anduin. I know I have seen it in action, and it is very effective, so that's something to be looking out for here as we get into this, as Bluestein certain to make some clutch saves here. We'll have to see what happens, though, as it's going to be the ETC ban. So expecting the offlane Varian, which, given that it's played by Ronin, that is what I would expect as well, Skev being the main tank for Bancho. So they're going to take away arguably the second best tank in the current meta. ETC, another all-around strong tank, just like Johanna, but a little bit more susceptible to some other tanks, such as Johanna. And it's going to be a Stukov ban to finish out our bans on the map. Just a very annoying hero. I'm not super familiar with Lulu's hero pool, as I believe that is the healer for the team, but they're going to take it away from her regardless. Just a pick that they don't want to see. Double pick here now for Zirconium League. This is where they're going to be filling out a good bit of their draft, giving away a little bit more of their game plan. And we're going to be seeing Deckard for Lulu, one of my favorite healers, and really one of my favorite heroes in the game. I think very much undervalued, and we're going to see if she's able to pull out some nice combos. But Lunara picked up also for the sustained damage for the team. I think that's a really effective setup for Probrius. You have a lot of lockdown between Johanna, Lunara, and Deckard, which will enable Probrius to land those Warp Rift explosions. But on the other team, we're going to see a Nubarak for Skev, so looking for some aggression and diving onto and killing that probe, as well as the Lunara and Deckard potentially. And then a Sylvanas for Shusui, strong in team fights and strong in pushes. Last pick for Shadonis, the offlaner and captain here, is going to be Dahaka. So getting in the late global here with no real macro and global pressure from the other team outside of maybe the Sylvanas. So we'll have to see how that turns out for Zirconium League here. As let me go ahead and put up a poll. See, now that we have the drafts, who does chat think is going to win as we jump into our first match of the evening here on Sky Temple. Really good drafts here, and I think both of these drafts complement the playstyle of each team. Looking at Deckard, really looking at the entire team for Zirconium League, those are all heroes who I think can definitely help out the Probius because they all have some form of CC, whether it be Lunara's got big slows, Deckard and Johanna and Dahaka all having some nice CC as well. They're going to be able to help Probius out in both protecting him and in setting up for him so that he can get his damage out. On the other side, we have a lot of dive potential as well as some save potential, and I think that very much is Bancho's favored play style here. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into this first map. Starting on the left with Zirconium League, we have Shadonis playing the Dahaka, a Weather Vane on Lunara, Dead On the Johanna, Tlems on the Probius, and Lulu on Deckard. Their opponents are going to be Bancho, starting off with Bluestein on the Anduin, Skev on the Anubarak, Shusui on the Sylvanas, Quinol on Li Ming, and Ronin on the Varian here. Now, one thing I will note is of all of the people I have watched in NGS, I think the person who has gotten the most value out of Twin Blades Variant is Ronin. Has been known to go for it, so we will have to keep an eye out for that. Currently holding his level 1 pick as the eye is going to be given over to Zirconium League, at least to start off. Skev already taking a little bit of poke from the Lunara. She is very effective at forcing a tank to either back up or engage onto her, thanks to her really kind of disgusting poke. Shusui already had rotated down to start the soak, but going to get pushed back as well, so rotation's looking really good for Zirconium League to start off. As Bancho seems to kind of just be splitting, not going for the 4-man rotations here, potentially just doing that to try and avoid stacking the Probius. It is going to be overpower at level 1 for Varian, so maybe looking at a taunt here to try and lock down the Lunara when she uses her Leaping Strike, or to lock down a Probius who's overextended here. We'll have to see whether or not that turns out, as currently chat saying Zirconium League favored here, 2 out of 3 voters going for them. We'll have to see whether or not chat is correct. Both teams going for their siege camps at the moment. Zirconium League going to be able to get out a bit faster thanks to Probius's insane damage on immobile targets. He's going to be able to clear out camps in waves faster than pretty much any other hero in the game. And Tlem's doing a good job at doing that quickly as well. Dead On, though, really helping him. You could even see there, Dead On pulling the Siege Giants into his Warp Wrist so that he can finish him off there. And Bancho just now rotating down to take care of the enemy Siege Camp and going to use Sylvanas' trait to help him out there. Level 4s in for each team. We're looking at the Ruby, interestingly enough, for Lulu, so looking for a more aggressive option here. We'll have to see how that works out. It can be very, very effective, but it does rely some good coordination there. On the other side, we have Underking for Anubarak, so looking for some increased aggression with the extra range there on the Burrow Charge. And everything else looking pretty normal, except I got baited by the Overpower at level 1. I thought it was taunt, but no. It is the Ronin Twin Blades. We're going to have to see how that turns out for him, as he's going to have to deal with a Bruiser camp in this top lane. Although I reckon his team will probably come to help him out pretty soon here. One thing I do really like about the draft of Zirconium League is with heroes like Probius and Deckard, you have a extremely high potential to set up and control a point, which is very strong for the objectives here. And Probius and Deckard going to be able to set up here. I would almost expect Bancho to just trade this out unless they can get some effective poke in with the Li Ming. Quinol trying to do that right now while the rest of his team is up in the top lane. Meanwhile, actually, Sylvanas and Lunara chilling in the bottom lane, just catching some extra soak. Drag goes out onto Skev. Not much going to come of it, just being a nuisance, trying to slow the wave clear there of Bancho. Level 7 is going to come in a little bit faster for the blue team. Looking at a bit of a swarm focus here with the Symbiosis. Yep, for Dahaka, still got the Dahaka talents down. Of course, the Warp Rift focus continuing for Probius with Rift Shock, looking for the big burst combos. And then we also have, I believe it's Konai's Cube, which will reduce the hero damage there, so a defensive option to help out the Probius. The Splintered Spear, as you would expect, and Blessed Momentum. So, all strong talents here at level 7. Dahaka going for a bit more Feast or Famine build here with that, so look at him to be jumping into the middle of Bancho, trying to get that extra value from the Dark Swim. On the other side, pretty much normal talents, everything what you would expect, except the Seeker maybe for Li Ming. So looking to get the extra damage onto a locked down target. I like that if they can pull it off. I know Bancho has the coordination to do it. We'll have to see though if this is one of their on days or if they're having a bit of an off day. A lot is going to come down to that coordination between Quinol and Skev on the Anubarak. Both teams getting onto their siege camps again, going to come out once again at the same time, and really this game has just been very, very even so far. Neither team really looking to engage, just waiting for the level 10s to come in, and it's been so far very evenly traded, although I would say that the rotations going in favor of Zirconium League have allowed them to get a little bit of a lead, as you can see here, pushing in, taking a turret with their siege giants, as Bancho having to split off to make sure that they're catching all of the soak. You also saw a little bit of an advantage coming out earlier as they did get out their Bruiser, which now Varian able to solo with the second wind at level 7, but gonna have to have his team come help soak, and that's gonna result in an early wall here coming down, which is a bit of an advantage for Zirconium League. We'll have to see how it pans out over this first objective though, as level 10's starting to come in. For our blue team, Zirconium League, we're looking at Isolation, the Null Gate, Stay a While and Listen, Blessed Shield, and Lunar currently holding, actually. Looks like actually Bancho not even going to fight over this. They're just looking to get the first fort of the game in the top lane. They will be able to do that very easily. Dahaka not able to contest it. But with that being said, Zirconium League is going to take the middle or the bottom fort, and with the remainder of the temple, they should be able to get the middle fort of Bancho as well here, as Lunara did end up going for Leaping Strike there. Meanwhile, looking at Bancho's ultimates, we have the Shield Wall, Light Bomb, Cocoon, Wailing Arrow, and Disintegrate coming out for them. Shadona is taking a lot of damage as he gets locked down. The Null Gate going to come out to try and help him, as Disintegrate will not be enough to finish. Deadon also taking a ton of damage on the Johanna, but with the healer low for Bancho, they're going to back off. Some nice aggression there onto the keep front wall, but ultimately Bancho is behind on the structure damage here, which is key for Sky Temple, because whenever you're behind on the structure damage, that means you have to play aggressively, because if your opponent just trades out objectives, they will always end the game faster than you. With that being said, this is an aggressive play, which is enabled by the twin memes on Varian. They're going to look at the boss here. With Johanna in the mid lane, they're not going to commit to it. But I like the play style here that Bancho is going for. They're trying to play around the enemy team and get advantages where they can. Perhaps not confident in their ability against Tlem's Probius and Lulu's Deckard, but confident in their ability to push in, which is another thing that Anubarak does well, thanks to his trait being able to spawn beetles to help eat some of those tower shots. But now that they're in the top lane, Shadonis seeing them, it's going to be Zirconium League who is starting on the boss. Quinol and Shusui not finding it, actually, just going for their... Oh, Quinol now spotting it. But I think it's going to be a bit too late here, as Dahaka actually coming in. Shadonis looking for the drag, going to find Blue Steen on the Anduin, but the entire team of Bancho is almost here. Everyone but Varian at the moment. Skev going to take a ton of damage from the double warp rip. Going to get saved by the life bomb though, and first blood is going to be on Johanna, followed by Dahaka and Deckard. The resets coming in for Li Ming. A Weather Vane having to jump out as Quinol is saved, and that is 3-0. First blood coming out for Bancho and a boss right as the objective phase is spawning in. A huge power play and turning the game around here. Looking at level 13s, we're going to have the glass cannon coming in for Li Ming. That is something of note because it means that she is extremely squishy, especially when you're looking at a leaping strike Lunara. If Lunara is able to get on top of her, she will not last long, trust me. Fort gonna go down as we have Ronin soloing the top point. That is a nice feature of ye olde twin memes variant. He's gonna be able to solo those points very, very easily. Question is will he be able to continue doing that as Shadonis is rotating in? We'll have to see if that point control ends up switching over. But for now, Bancho gonna move on to the bottom point here. Looking at the level 13s, we have Primal Swarm. That's a very strong tool. Gonna be able to reduce the armor, and with Symbiosis at 7, that'll have pretty much constant uptime. Also looking at Ancient Blessings, going to give a lot more teamfight ability to the team of Zirconium League, as well as the Power Overflowing, giving some nice spell power and mana to further help the team. So a lot of team supportive options here coming in for Zirconium League. So looking to enable their team in those team fights. Spell Shield also very strong for Lunara, going to help protect her against the kind of double mage. Sylvanas is a bit of a hybrid, but lots of spell damage from the red team. Bruiser's going to get taken by Bancho as now both sides have lost all of their forts. Looking at the front walls here, pretty much untouched for Bancho, whereas there is a little bit of damage for Zirconium League. But overall pretty even. Bluestein though caught out, not sure how he got there, but he's going to use the light bomb and his team's going to come for the engage. Stay a while and listen though, going to shut that down, and it looks like Bluestein is going to fall. But so is Dead on the Johanna, as well as the Deckard, and Probius soon to follow as Lunara and Li Ming trade out. So a 4-for-2 trade here. Gonna get level 16s for Bancho. Loving these team fights. Is Dahaka not able to come in? Not sure if the global was down or if the team fight was just considered to be over too quickly there. But it is going to be a one fight for Bancho. And they're going to look at this bottom lane knowing that Dahaka on his own won't be able to stop the combined siege pressure of Sylvanas and Twin Memes. The quick match push combo coming in with a Nubarak. Looking at level 16's, very interesting choice here. We have Debilitation for Nubarak, not something you see often at all, but if he's able to land that on Probius, Probius's damage will be pretty heavily mitigated, although it is sacrificing one of the, probably the biggest power spike for Nubarak, even above Rewind in the epicenter there. So we'll have to see what value they get out of that. We're also going to see the spell power banner coming out for Varian there, as well as the Will of the Forsaken, Mirror Ball, and Inner Focus. Before Bancho gets 20s, it looks like Zirconium League is wanting to fight now that they are on even talents. And I think they should be able to get a fight here as they are looking at this point here. But with the Bruiser camp, Bancho not quite wanting to fight down the spell armor that it provides. That being said, Ronin is caught out and taking a lot of damage from Lunara, who is going to eat the cocoon. Bluestein going in with the light bomb, but they're going to get chunked super heavily, having to run away, but Deckard will fall. Skev not quite landing the burrow charge, and going to... Sorry, I completely got mixed up so many mobile heroes here, but Sylvanas and Lunara going to fall. Dead on barely gets away. Dahaka trying to escape as well, but he's going to fall. And that is going to be, again, a one-team fight. It looked so back and forth with Bluestein, again, getting very, very low in the early parts of the fight, but he's doing so well at using the light bomb to almost bait the enemy team, getting low, and then getting that huge shield and the big stun for himself. And that is going to be another one fight here, and Bancho getting the objective and very close to their Storm talents here. Slems and Deadon going to go ahead and take their siege camp. We're considering the invade, but not quite going to go for it as they are aware of Bancho rotating in here to take it. And that is going to be now a keep lead here for Bancho. Sitting pretty happy here, looking at a 10-3 kill count in their favor. Very impressive for their first match here. We'll have to see, are they going to be able to continue it? As for now, they're going to push out the bottom lane camp to enable their own siege camp to get some damage done. And looks like the focus with level 20s is going to be onto the boss here, as we have some insane power spikes coming in. We have Rewind, we have the Bull of the Storm, okay, it's just generic there. Varian's Legacy, Talrash's Elements, and Glory to the Alliance, but Zirconium League gonna respect those 20s and give the boss. They did have vision of it, but frankly, it was raced so quickly down thanks to the Seeker, as well as the twin memes, that I'm not certain that they would have been able to do much about it anyway. Not all hope is lost here, but this is a very important defense for Zirconium League. If they're able to defend this, I think they have a good chance at coming back in some of these late game team fights. They have some very powerful talents at 16 as well as at 20, but first they have to make it there. And with this boss, it's going to be a bit difficult as Ronin getting about half of Lulu's health there, aggroing the fort or the keep as well, and it looks like this keep will fall here to the boss. And now with that down, very beautiful burrow charge coming in from Skev, gonna land onto Lulu, but the drag from Shadonis gonna save the healer here. Both Deadon and Lulu looking very low, and Shadonis just trying to do his best to ward off the enemy team, as we have the swirling tornadoes of the core helping out on that. But 2 objectives up, and that means if Bancho is able to secure both of these, they will end the game more than likely here, as 1 objective is more than enough to destroy the blue team's core. So Zirconium League gonna be forced into a fight down their level 20s. Gonna have to choose wisely though. We see a 1-1 split, and Bancho keeping the 3-man in the middle, playing around the 20 advantage and making sure that they don't give the fight here, as they're going to grab a few shots off of bottom and then just rotate out to get the camps, knowing that Zirconium League doesn't have a chance but to stay here. That being said, doesn't mean they're not going to go for an aggressive play here. They're going to go ahead and steal the Bruiser camp of Zirconium League before they're able to get 20s and contest it. That's going to be free, and Zirconium League actually leaving the shrine, coming up to fight. I would have liked to see Dahaka maybe left there. I realize it's a bit risky, but if they didn't show on the rotation, I think they could have left him there to global in, instead of giving these few shots over to Bancho, as their core is going to have its shields destroyed, down to 92%, and this will be some additional percentage coming in from this bot objective. It shouldn't end the game, but they need to be careful from this on the side of Zirconium League. Even the siege camp picked up here, as Shadonis just checking it out. That being said, needs to be really careful. He's in the middle of the team, going to use the burrow there to go ahead and escape. But that is the core of Zirconium League down to 47%, below half at this point. It means within backdoor range, as Bruiser camp of Bancho going to be stolen away now. Deadon and a Weathervane going to take the vision control here and start clearing out the waves, just trying to make sure that no Winions get onto their core, as they are now down all of their keeps, as they weren't quite able to get a keep in the bottom lane with the objective. And now both teams really just rotating around each other. Bancho knows that they're ahead. They don't have to fight into the strong 20s that we have here, the Contagion, Shoot 'em Up, Respect the Elderly, Intensifying, Toxin, and Indestructible. All excellent tools for the team fights of Zirconium League, who are going to already be setting up around the boss a minute out. But they need to be careful, because in the top lane, they are getting pushed in. Bancho just making sure that the map continues to be red without having to fight Zirconium League here. Although with the global here, we are going to see Dahaka able to push out that bottom lane. He needs to be careful, and it looks like he's going to be hearthing away now, expecting the rotation from Ban Cho. Will they be able to find him, though? Ronin checks the bush and finds Shadonis. He is going to try and burrow his way out, but his team is far away, and I don't think there's anything that this Dino can do to escape. That's going to be a pick off here on the offlaner, and now Zirconium League is in the worst position they could find themselves in. They're 4v5, and the objective has just spawned. All Ban Cho has to do is stand on this point and win a 4v5, and they will win this game. Objective gonna start up, and 40 seconds still on the Dahaka. That's not going to be enough time for Zirconium League to wait, as already dead on getting super chunked on the Johanna. Ronin on the flank, but the Seeker poke here from Quinol is so disgusting, and the Cocoon comes out onto Lunara. It's a 3v5. Johanna's gonna get the indestructible procced, but with Lunara immediately blown up, and Johanna following. Tlem's on the Probius, not going to be able to pull around this one. And that is going to be game number 1 in the series, going to Ban Cho. GG. A match well played there. Very impressive from Ban Cho. Taking a look at the stats here. Probius actually with the most soak for his team. I think Shadonis definitely didn't get as much value with the global on Dahaka as he would have liked. I think that's something that could have been played around a bit more to give Zirconium League an advantage, but in general, they struggled in the team fights. The aggression worked, and I don't think that they were quite ready for it on the side of Zirconium League. They had a very strong composition to set up for Probius, but not too strong to protect him against the poke from Li Ming and Sylvanas and the dive from Anubrak. Even though Tlem's did have the lowest deaths for his team, it seems like he wasn't quite able to make the difference here, as Quinol putting out the most damage in the game by a large factor. You can look, and closest being Lunara, played by a Weathervane, which was a very well played Lunara, but not gonna be the difference maker here. Can take a look at the talents here, as we're gonna hopefully be getting our next map pretty soon from these teams. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it back to me so I can DM Shadonis, figure out what he's going for here. I think definitely a closer, not closer, sorry, not as close as I would have expected, but I think there was a lot of potential there for the side of Zirconium League, but they kind of just got it kind of spiraled out of control with the snowball that is available on Sky Temple. Their map pick not quite working out for them. So we'll have to see how they turn it around, as they're going to actually choose to have the first pick for our second map here. So the map pick going to be for Ban Cho, as they're now up 1 in this series. Alright. Should hopefully be getting that map pick in here soon. But I gotta say, I think Tlem's, while he did play a strong Probius, the aggression from Ban Cho really showed the weakness of Probius, in that if his team isn't able to protect him, if his pylons go down, and if the wall between him and the enemy team goes away, he really doesn't have much of a choice but to run. And that did seem quite apparent in that map. So we're going to have to see if they're able to turn it around, maybe swap up some of the picks here. Maybe we see a reverse sweep like we saw from them, I believe, last week, and come back with the Probius in Game 3 and get a win. But for now, we're going to be looking at Battlefield of Eternity being the map pick here for Bancho, as they, as we saw first pick, the preference for Zirconium League here for this second map. Not happy with their map pick, and that's definitely something I can understand there. When Sky Temple goes wrong, it goes wrong in a dramatic way. Alright, let me link my lobby here. And we should hopefully be jumping into our second map here on Battlefield of Eternity, which is a huge change in pace. It was picked by Bancho, and I think they looked dominant in the team fights, so it makes sense why. Not surprised at all to see that choice coming in for them. Alright, and we do have some players swapping out here. It looks like Pet Wolverine going to come in for the likes of Zirconium League. This is something that they did last week and that I liked a lot. Swapping out some of the players. We'll have to see if they're able to use that to pull it through. As it looks like they're going to be swapping out their healer here, I believe, and one of their DPS, or maybe not. Yes, one of their DPS. All right. As we're going to see Bob and Pet Wolverine coming in for the team. All right. So, looking at oh, yep, I got swap captains here. Had people joining the lobby out of order. But I think both teams have a lot of potential here, and I think the roster swap-ups, or switch-ups, worked really well for Zirconium League last round. We'll have to see how it works for them in this matchup. As that was a pretty dominant game, like I said. Sky Temple, known for being a pretty snowbally map. A lot of the comeback potential comes from the boss, and Bancho controlled that excellently, never giving it up. There was a point where Zirconium League looked like they were going to get it, but that turned around on them and ended up being the really turning factor there. But we're going to be going ahead and jumping into our game here on our next map. It's going to be Battlefield of Eternity here. Alright, so what is Zirconium League going to do to turn this around? For starters, they have the first pick here, which is something that I definitely think will help them out. Being in the second pick didn't help them, as they banning out Zool, I think, freed up, or always having to use that ban on Zool on the meta pick always feels bad. And that's an extra slot that they can use now to ban out the Li Ming here from Bancho. So that's going to already be something to enable them removing that very powerful factor, which Li Ming, arguably the strongest mage on this map. In fact, I wouldn't say arguably, the strongest mage on this map, I would say. So they're going to be able to deny that from Bancho now, which is already a good start into the draft. Bancho now with the ban onto Zool. They're not even going to bother and wait for the second ban to see if Zirconium League gets rid of it. They're just getting rid of it there. And Johanna going to be the ban from Zirconium League. It didn't quite work out for them last game, so they're going to get rid of it because they don't want Bancho having it. And maybe they have different first pick preferences here. Not willing to spring for the Johanna here. Bancho now with their second ban before we get into the first pick, and it's going to be Deathwing again, so taking out again what could be considered a meta ban, although I think at this point lots of teams are willing to let him through, so maybe more of just a preference ban there. Is Pet Wolverine going to start off the draft for Zirconium League with Raynor with the new Exterminator buffs, or newish. I guess they're not new anymore. It always feels new to me that Exterminator is the meta pick, but it has been for a little bit now, as it got massively buffed and pretty much unrivaled race there now. But we're going to have a bit of a role swap, it looks like, as Skev going on to the ETC, but the role swap being Ronin now. Played Varian last game. Gonna stick with another V hero, going for Vala, as now we're gonna see Murden and Rhaegar coming in for the side of Zirconium League. Potential Bloodlust comp, which is worth noting because Bloodlust has been making a tear in certain parts of the competitive scene recently. We'll have to see how that turns out for them. If they do decide to go for it here, I would expect maybe a gray main ban if they're wanting to deny that composition from the side of Bancho, but it's going to be the Leoric ban again. Maybe just feeling that is a very powerful pick for Shadonis and wanting to get rid of that because it can be very disruptive with the damage reduction, with the unstoppable and the ability to just get in the back line for free. Leoric can definitely be a pain in the side of any team, and that's not even mentioning the Entomb. Stukov actually banned out now for the other side. Zirconium League taking it away from Bancho, as we still have the healer up for Bancho, as well as the offlane and a DPS here. Could see a sustained damage or a mage, but it's going to be Anduin again for Bluestein to start it off. And now Shusui and Quinal, what are we going to see from them? Looks like it's going to be Lunara. So a double sustained damage for the side of Bancho, looking for that insane race onto the Immortal, thanks to the Q build Vala and the Nature's Toxin on Lunara. Final picks going to be coming in now for Zirconium League. They're going to go for Yrel, a very strong team fight offlaner, and the Tassadar for a Weathervane, feeling that the backline is not sufficiently pressured this game, so they're going to go for the aggressive option here. Or not the aggressive, a very poke-based squishy backliner. Tassadar, kind of similar to a Chromie or Gul'dan, I found, but his numbers can be insanely high if he isn't pressured. So what is the offlane going to be here for Shusui to counter that? It's going to be Chen. That's exactly what I was expecting, if I'm being honest, but oh, as I completely quit out of Soothsayer on accident. But let's see, start a poll up as I'm panicking and making sure that I'm fixing this. Who do we think is going to come out on top now? Will it be the Bancho draft, or will it be Zirconium League? We'll have to see what chat thinks as we jump into our second map of the evening here on Battlefield of Eternity. All right. So strong potential here for both of these teams. I think definitely comfort picks, I know, for Bancho. Zirconium League, I'm not as familiar with their hero pool, but looking at their draft, I feel that that is a strong draft. If the Muradin is able to get onto Lunara or Vala, he can be very oppressive. Yrel as well, and some strong backliners to complement that. But we're going to jump in and see which team is going to come out on top, if Zirconium League will be able to stay in, as they're going to start off with Shadonis the captain on Yrel. We're going to have a Weathervane on Tassadar, Deadon on Murden, Pet Wolverine on Raynor, and Umbob on the Rhaegar. Against them, looking to close it out with a quick 2-0, it's Bancho. We've got Bluestein on Anduin, Ronin on Vala, Skev on ETC, Quinal on Lunara, and Shusui dancing on the Keg Panda Chen. Looking at level 1s, we actually have the auto attack talent coming in with Kedaran Amulet for the Tassadar. I'm going to try to get some extra poke and sustain damage coming out. Looking for the life leech, actually, almost like a tracer there, potentially with the Bloodlust here, as well as Exterminator, as you would expect. And really just standard talents all around the board for both teams here. Top lane matchup looks like it's going in favor of Chen so far. Shadonis doing his best to interrupt the drinking there. We'll have to see if either of them gets an advantage. I wouldn't really expect it. I think they both have very strong sustain and not enough burst to finish each other off. So we're going to keep our focus here on the bot lane as Skev, anchoring in the bush, making sure that there's no nasty flanks, or trying to get onto Tassadar here, as he does, boops him into the tower range. But with the totem from Rhaegar, with the force wall, a Weatherbane is going to be able to get out, although taking a ton of damage. Pet Wolverine taking some harassment as well. So a good early start here for Bancho. I know they struggled a little bit in the early game rotations last game, but now able to win out their lane. It looks like chat is still heavily in favor of the blue team, even after last game. 4 out of 5 voting for Zirconium League here, wanting the comeback. I can't blame them. I'd love to see a game 3. And I think with Bloodlust here, or without, I guess, but with Bloodlust, I'm going to be a bit biased here. I think there's definitely a chance. Tassadar sitting at 30 right now. Once he gets to that 80 seconds, he's going to have 1 bounce and for 50% damage. And once he gets to 160, he'll have 2 bounces there. So a lot of potential poke coming in. As Murden sitting at 2 out of 25 on his Stormbolt baseline. Bancho already completed their Bruiser camp, and it looks like potentially going for their siege camp, or for the siege camp in the bottom lane now, as Anduin is going to help gank in the top lane. Not worried about a invade at all from the blue team here. And the Bruiser camp actually coming up pretty early here for the side of Zirconium League, wanting to make sure that bottom siege isn't taken, so they're going to push theirs into the lane, as Bancho now, with the Immortal only a few seconds away, going to come and get theirs as level 4 talents also come in. And again, pretty much what you would expect. We do have the Sledgehammer coming in for Murden, so looking for Immortal damage versus some of the extra CC and self-sustain there for the potential Reverberation or the Thunderclap there. Race, though, looks like it's going to go in favor of Zirconium League to start off. That is one of the things that is hard about Lunara on this map, is since so much of her damage is dot, if you lose the halftime show, boom, all of that dot you had on the Immortal disappears. And we're going to have to see if that's the factor that lets Zirconium League come away with the first Immortal, as neither team fighting, and it looks like it is going to be the case, with about a 1600 shield first Immortal, so not a... very, very marginal win here. And it looks like Bancho actually looking for a bit of a fight as they see Yrel in the top lane. But overall, it is still a win for Zirconium League. And it looks like actually they're going to opt to push the opposite lane, something that has become a lot more common since the tower changes. As pushing with that first or second Immortal, while they don't have that much push pressure, can be a little bit of a struggle. Although something very important here, one of the struggles also for Tassadar is that if he bounces his auto attack to a hero, he's going to eat the tower aggro. But right now it's Umbob taking the tower aggro and going to get finished off by Chen. So only a tower in the top lane and tower in mid wall in the bottom lane. Not a lot of early damage, and losing the life of Rhaegar on the healer here. Now, a Weatherbane and Pet Wolverine caught out a bit, going to have the Adrenaline Rush to help Raynor out, but a Weatherbane not going to be able to get away on his own. That being said, a trade going to go out, dead on, jumping onto Lunara and killing the deer. And all in the meantime, Vala had to back, so Shadonis is going to get a little bit ahead in the top lane here as we have Chen rotating up now after being in the bottom lane. Maybe just rotating there, assuming that that was going to be the non-pushed lane during the objective phase. That being said, with the Exterminator and the Rhaegar, they're going to be able to quickly get onto this camp. Vala has, I believe, figured that out, as she and Chen are going to be starting onto the siege camp here, even before the camp came out for Zirconium League. So a trade here, but it's going to be 4v3 now in the bottom lane with the earlier camp coming out for Zirconium League, and they're going to be able to take out this turret here and potentially push into the fountain a little bit, as Vala now starting to rotate down to help with the defense, as Yrel's going to have to deal with Chen and his siege camp here for Bancho. Talent, or XP, very close, as both teams are going to be on the same towns. I wouldn't expect to see level 10 come out here unless we see a big team fight Although I think if Zirconium League wants to win another Immortal, they might have to go for that team fight, as the repeating arrow for Vala is going to give a lot more race to Bancho than they had in the last game, and it looks like Zirconium League is going to opt for the defensive position as Urel gonna push out the top lane, which means it's time for Bancho to push in. Looking at stats so far, Lunara putting out the most damage in the game by quite a bit. Raynor the highest damage for his team, but given kills, not really certain who's going to put in the numbers during fights quite yet, as Pet Wolverine and Umbob with Exterminator and the Rhaegar potential going to actually get onto their bruisers here. The bruisers were claimed later for the side of Bancho, so they're not going to be able to get theirs out for another 10 seconds, and that is now additional pressure for Zirconium League here, as both teams are just playing around the level 10, it looks like. Bancho slightly ahead in the XP here, but I wouldn't expect for ults to come in for them too much earlier. Really, the only advantage they're getting right now is that little bit of extra push onto the Immortal with the poke from Lunara and Vala. Level 10's in for both teams. Quick locks for our blue team, and we do have the Bloodlust as well as Archon, Ardent Defender. We're going to have the Avatar and the Hyperion coming in. Ronin taking a good bit of damage from Dead On and from the camp, as Zirconium League goes to assure that their camp is getting pushed in. So level 10 is going to be the Storm Earth Fire. I always just call it Panda Pow, so I didn't even remember what it's actually called, but that's going to be a power slide onto the Raynor. Bloodlust is going to come out, but not in time to help him. Lots of damage and a huge light bomb. Shadonis now getting hit by the Mosh as well. It's huge, hitting all 4 members of Zirconium League. That's going to be Tassadar falling. Urel gets the ult out in time, but is likely to fall regardless, and so is Rhaegar. The engage coming in before Bloodlust, and that's going to enable a 4-man, 4 kill for 0 for the side of Bancho, and that's going to be the halftime show 1 for them, as well as likely the entire Immortal phase here. Ults for them going to be Rain of Vengeance, Storm Earth Fire, as I mentioned, the Mosh Pit, Light Bomb, and the Leaping Strike for Lunara. And that is going to be the objective here, coming out and now with a 19,000 point shield of hefty Immortal pushing in for Bancho. XP only a level ahead despite the 6-to-1 kills here. Zirconium League doing a good job of soaking so far, but this is where we might see a repetition of what we saw last game in Bancho kind of just pushing ahead with every lead that they get. We'll have to see though, as there is some strong potential here for the defense here. Pressure's on to Zirconium League. Force Wall gonna come out just to try and deny the push a little bit, but Immortal is still very healthy, having a shield. That being said, Skev taking a ton of damage there from the team of Zirconium League, and it looks like Bancho just gonna get the fort whittled down here and let the Immortal do the rest, as they're gonna rotate into the top lane. Shadonis, I'm certain, is aware of this, but maybe not actually. Team gonna rotate onto him and getting the interrupt onto the jump. Shadonis rooted as well, and that's going to be Urel going down. Siege Camp going to get taken here for the side of Zirconium League, and they're actually going to be able to push into this bottom lane very effectively with the Raynor and the Tassadar. So Chen and Vala looks like rotating to try and deal with that now, as Bancho with the remaining 3 members going to be looking at this top Siege Camp. But overall, from being the team that got the kill, seems like Bancho didn't quite get what they wanted there. Level 13s are in for Bancho, and we have the Siphoning Arrow, a Ring of Fire, the Face Smelt actually, so looking for the slows for ETC, as well as the Speed of the Pious and Let Them Wither, so looking for increased slow duration there. Bancho with the 13 not going to be looking for anything too aggressive at the moment, actually just going ahead and doing their bruiser camp right now, and that's going to give the opportunity to Zirconium League to get 13 for this objective phase here. Only going to need one more wave, which will get quickly cleared by Tassadar, although he is now caught out, but Skev misses the power slide, and that's going to be Tassadar getting away. Now, Bruiser Camp also gotten for Zirconium League. This time they're the ones getting it out a bit later, and it's going to be pushing into this low health bottom lane. So that is definitely favorable here for the side of Zirconium League, but will they be able to win the race? Looks like potentially here, as it's going to be just slightly faster without Chen there. For the side of Zirconium League, looking at just under 1,000 points lead, but now defensive positions for both teams, which means we're going to see a team fight. And with even talents, Zirconium League is looking to be aggressive here, even using Hyperion just for the Immortal fight here, as Bloodlust going to come out, Chen taking a ton of damage, Lunara jumping in, Skev looking for a mosh pit but not going to find it and take a ton of damage. Light Bomb comes out, hits 4, and there's the mosh pit, but immediately interrupted by Raynor before he falls. That's going to be ETC falling, but Rhaegar falls next. Tassadar falls as well. Panda Pal's putting in so much work during the fight, and it's going to be only the front line left for the side of Zirconium League to try and defend this Immortal, but it is not going to be possible there, and that is going to be second Immortal of the game for Ban Cho. That being said, Bruiser Camp did get the fort in the bottom lane during that time. But with a 10-2 kill lead here, it is going to be 16 talents coming in just as the Immortal pushes into this top lane for Ban Cho, so they're going to be looking to get some value from this. And I would expect nothing less than a fort here, as we're going to have the enough to share for Chen, or combo strikes, I'm sorry, enough to share is at 13. I know this, I promise. But no, talent's looking pretty normal here for the side of Ban Cho. And now the pressure is once again onto Zirconium League. Can they defend this? They're down talents, and just trying to maneuver around the Immortal stuns here, taking a lot of poke from the Lunara. Skev looking for aggression, but dead on the Murden, going to be able to Dwarf Toss out, and that is going to be a pretty good defense, all things considered. Only the fort falling, and actually getting a ton of damage onto Skev. He's going to need to be careful, as he's going to get slowed by the Urelder. Has the power slide to try and get away, but the chase is still on. Avatar actually popped here for the Murden. Down talents, they're really wanting this fight regardless, but they're not going to find it. Zirconium League is going to back off here, and just have to soak up for their level 16 talents and sit back while they wait for the cooldown of Avatar there. Ban Cho going to go ahead and use the time of that ult being down to take this siege camp in the top lane, but Zirconium League, with the wave pushed out, is going to be able to trade it out for the camp in the bottom lane. That being said, Shadonis needs to be careful, but thanks to Divine Steed at level 7 there, going to be able to get out, avoiding the gank there. Murden almost done with his Stormbolt quest. When he finishes that, he will be able to do a lot more Immortal Race, as he will get the cooldown reduction on his auto attacks. Watch for that in the next objective phase, see if that's able to make a change, as Zirconium League is going to bunker up, wait for the passive XP to get them 16s, and now going to be able to come up to the top lane to defend that. As some nice tools coming in here, we have the Psychic Shock, a big damage increase for Tassadar, as well as the Templar's Verdict, Stone Form, Paint Them Red, and Earthgrasp Totem. All strong talents. And now it's Zirconium League once again on the aggressive, dead on, going for Ronin, but not going to be followed quite, but Bloodlust gets ripped, as well as Archon. The aggression is here for the side of Zirconium League, and Bluestein going to be first blood. Lunara follows, but with the Panda Pals and the Mosh Pit, both of the DPS are going to fall for the side of Zirconium League, but Vala falls as well, so it's looking like a 3-for-2 trade. And with Rhaegar, Yrel, and Murden, there's some serious CC and damage. They're going to chase onto Shusui and Skev. Might be able to get a kill, but no. Face Melt coming in clutch, going to slow them down. That being said, Murden completed that Stormbolt quest, has the race. Rhaegar pretty decent at racing himself, and they're going to be able to likely get the halftime of the Immortal for free for their team, so looking like a potential comeback coming in for the side of Zirconium League. Currently, Tassadar highest damage for his team, but once again, Quinal putting in the numbers here, now on the Lunara. Bruiser Camp's gonna get taken, or at least will be taken for Zirconium League during the halftime show there. And Bancho, for the first time really, forced into a defensive position here. They're going to go for their own Bruiser Camp as they wait for Zirconium League. And Zirconium League trying to play it defensive, but with their top lane fort being down and the Bruiser Camp pushing into that lane, they won't be able to stay that way for long, so they're going to try and rotate around here. But scouted out by the Wisp. Great job there from Quinal on the Lunara, scouting that out. And that being said, now it is going to be the objective being pressured by the side of Zirconium League as a big Righteous Hammer coming in from Shadonis, but Pet Wolverine getting jumped on. Bloodlust gets ripped, and Skev is getting chunked, but so is Shusui, and Chen is going to be first blood of the fight. Shadonis eating so much punishment, but dealing it back in equally and able to survive. That's going to be a 1-0 trade, and the Immortal here now with almost 30,000 shielding coming out for Zirconium League. It's their second one of the game, first one since the first objective phase. And with that kill, they're not going to be worried about potential level 20 advantage here. And they're going to be able to push in with this Immortal to try and even up the map and even get some in their advantage here. You're all going to be clearing for the moment, but should be able to join them quite soon. They're going to just use that big, healthy Immortal shield to play it safe while they wait for her. And now she is going to be there, and so it's going to be a 5-man push, and Dead On getting aggressive on the Muradin, goes for the Stormbolt, but Quinal using the Leaping Strike to reposition and get out of there safely. And now Chen is back. Level 20 still not here for Bancho, but Zirconium League will need to be careful, as if the chase potential comes out, it could be a rough fight for Zirconium League. Down 20s here. Need to be very careful on this push as the Immortal Shield is down now. Shadonis getting heavily chunked by Lunara. She puts out so much poke, so much damage there, but Zirconium League wants this keep. Unstoppable comes out onto Shadonis, saving Urel from the power slide from Skev, and with that, it's going to be Zirconium League backing away, but the Immortal finishes off the keep. Will Quinal be able to chase onto Pet Wolverine? Gets the interrupt onto the mount, and Pet Wolverine is going to fall on the Raynor. Looks like Zirconium League wants to re-engage, but not going to be able to save Raynor, so now Shadonis caught in a bad spot and going to fall as well. So the remaining 3 members of Zirconium League forced to back up. They got the keep, but as I said, the chase there from Lunara is really scary, and the level 20s get 2 kills for Bancho. Looking at Farflight Quiver, Elemental Conduit, Death Metal, Glyph of Faith, and Intensifying Toxin. You saw the poison damage there from Lunara. 1 Q into an auto attack, and then the W gets the 3 stacks on her Nature's Toxin, and that was about half of Urel's health bar. So no small feat there. As now going to be pressuring into this keep, trying to even up the map once again with a catapult and a siege camp. And I think there's not much that can be done here. Lots of poke can be done, but Dead On does need to be careful on the Muradin, actually committing the Avatar. Now they're trying to get the kills on the chase as Tassadar is back up as well as Urel, but with the Avatar burned, that's actually just going to be an ult down, as well as Urel's ult still recharging. So a potential 2 ult advantage here, although level 20s are in. We're looking at the Kala's Gift, Word of Glory, Rewind, Execute, and Rewind coming in. So 2 double Rewind here for the blue team. Not going for the Gladiator's War Shout there for the upgraded Bloodlust duration. And now race going to begin. It looks pretty even, but I think again, thanks to the dot, this will be going slightly in favor of Zirconium League. And it will, about 2,000 hit points in favor of Zirconium League, but Chen was not there for that duration because he was pushing out that bottom lane a bit, afraid of the Bruiser Camp, which will be pushing in. And now race committed to once again, but I think with Execute, this is going to go in favor of Zirconium League. The extra damage is going to be enough, and that's going to be a 4,000 shield Immortal. But regardless of this tiny shield, you have to remember that this Immortal is so late game that it is going to tear through this keep, especially since the front wall was taken down by the Bruiser Camp there. Excellent camp control from the side of Zirconium League, and they're going to try and force Bancho to let the Immortal push by pressuring in this top lane. Need to be careful though, they're going to get sandwiched between the core and the enemy team. Quinal though gets chunked as he dives in. Tassadar getting chunked back, but the Bloodlust going to keep him up until the Death Mosh comes through, and now it's a battle of 3v2 here. Panda Pal's doing a lot of damage, but not quite enough. Pet Wolverine gets insanely low, but barely saved by Umbob on the Rhaegar. Shusui's Panda Pal's going to end there, and now the keep is gone. The Immortal is on the core, and it looks like with the 2-for-1 trade, this might be Zirconium League completing the comeback on Battlefield of Eternity. Roster mix-up going to work out for them here, and that's going to be Game 2 going to Zirconium League. GG. Alright. So, first pick working out both maps so far. Although I will say it was obviously much less decisive on this map. Looking at the kills even, Zirconium League never able to catch up there. They did get the last few team fights which allowed them to make that full comeback, but it was very close. And that's something that I would be wary of in Game 3. They were able to make the reverse sweep happen last week where they, I believe, lost a close first map on Braxis. But looking at this matchup, they struggled in this game and they struggled in the last game. So while the map win means a lot, it means that Bancho is going to be feeling a little bit of self-doubt. I think it's still looking somewhat favored for Bancho, in my opinion, based on how they have played the past two maps. So we'll have to see how that comes out as we're looking at Tassadar for highest damage for his team. But as I said, Quinal putting out so much damage on the Lunara this game. You can take a look at the talents there. And we will get our information here momentarily. Alright. Alright, so Bancho is going to be going for first pick, so going with the trend of first pick winning. So what is the map here for our blue team? It's Towers of Doom. Alright, let me go ahead and make this lobby as they're not even giving me time to talk or speculate. Doing a good job of getting it out quickly. That's what I like to see. Makes my job easy. I don't have to stall as much. Makes it nice and easy for me. Alright. Gonna go ahead and link that in. Let's see. So looking at Towers of Doom, I think this is it's a mix between the past two maps. We saw very macro focused in the first map, and although team fights were, I would say, the deciding factor there, mostly around the boss pit, but a very heavy focus on macro on Sky Temple and rotating around the other team. And Bancho was able to do that effectively once they got a slight advantage. Looking at Towers of Doom, there is a big emphasis on rotations and being able to control the soak while also controlling the bottom lane, which is obviously the most impactful lane for the map. You've got two sapper camps, you have two objectives spawning where the main access point is through that bottom lane. So very important lane there and very important focus onto macro. But then again, you also have really important really important team fights, and also kind of scraps. You have 4v4s and 1v1s. You have a kind of mixed fights there because of the multi-stage objective there. So really, I can't say that this favors either team. I think that both teams showed the potential for strong rotations and strong team fights, but I think that, like I said, Bancho has shown that they are able to pull away in the early game and mid game. Late game did work out on Battlefield for the side of Zirconium League, and this is a map that can definitely go into the late game. So we'll have to see if they're able to either control it from the beginning or control the late game here. to make the full reverse sweep, or if Bancho is able to finish it out here. I think it really could go either way, as both teams have been playing excellently so far in this series. Go ahead and recap it for anyone who has come since. I will say thank you to Sluggadin for the follow, as well as Tentitanus. I am not sure how to pronounce that, but I'll go ahead and run those notifications here. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. We've got a good bit of banter going on in chat. Always like to see that. That is in the in-game chat here. Alright, we are going to have the switch back here to the map 1 roster. This is the same kind of rotation that they did last series, I believe. I watched part of it, so if I'm getting parts of this wrong, that's on me. But going to go back to having Lulu and Tlems here over Pet Wolverine and Umbob. So we'll have to see if that can work out for them, if they can repeat last week. But we're going to go ahead and get started here. Everything looks good. We're going to jump into game number 3. See who's able to come out on top on Towers of Doom. Alright, so looking at the map, first pick is going to be for Bancho. So expect to see the Zool ban coming out from the side of Zirconium League, especially since double soakers are super potent and super important on this map. But again, we're going to see the Deathwing ban coming out early for the side of Bancho. And the Zool ban also coming out nice and quick. No doubt there. Making sure that they get rid of that. So far we have seen the Leoric ban be the consistent ban here from Mancho. And it is going to be the Leoric again. They don't want to have to deal with that potential. Chat came in last game saying that that combination is the Leoric with the Anduin for the Light Bomb Wraithwalk, I would imagine. Pretty strong combination there. You can just teleport into the enemy team with a Light Bomb as they are not expecting it. As you can come from out of vision or whatever, and get some really strong potential there. And it's going to be the Li Ming ban, so respecting Quinal's Game 1 Li Ming once again. Definitely a Li Ming worth respecting there, making Seeker look very strong, comboed with that Anubarak for the CC. But first pick is going to be here. Last time we saw Johanna banned out when Zirconium League didn't have first pick, or did have first pick rather. But Johanna not going to get picked up here. It's going to be Sylvanas for Shusui, looking for the push pressure once again, similar to the previous game. But now we're going to see Malthael picked up for the offlane. Strong double soaker, although somewhat susceptible to ganks. And finally, Anduin going to come in for the side of Zirconium League, as it sounds like that's a healer that they really like, but haven't been able to get for the past 2 games. But now they're done with Bluestein having that Anduin, having the save potential, having the Light Bomb. They're taking it for themselves. Skev gonna grab the Johanna, and Quinal playing as Hanzo. Something that is somewhat famous among me and some of my other friends who cast Heroes Lounge. Quinal's Hanzo made a big impact a few seasons ago in Heroes Lounge, so looking for that to be impactful in this game as well. Stukov ban quick from Zirconium League. Once again, banned out in the 3rd ban position here. Was banned out by Bancho in the first game, in Zirconium League now in the past 2 games, especially now that they have the Anduin for themselves. And the main tank ban onto Mal'Ganis going to come out for the side of Bancho. Worth noting is since Leoric and Zul are gone, there are very few double soakers left for the side of Bancho. So a good choke onto that roll there for the side of Zirconium League. Smart pickup on the Malthael nice and early. We'll have to see what Ronin goes into here, as I would expect him to be the offlaner here. As we're going to have the ETC and Probius again, although Probius coming in a bit later here, so maybe a bit less potential for the counter in the draft. Last two picks coming in now for Bancho. We'll have to see what they're going to go for in the offlane. It's going to be Sonya, able to double soak, though not quite as fast. And then the Rhaegar now for Bluestein. He is very strong on that hero, I know. We'll have to see if they go for the Bloodlust with their current composition, or if they want to go for the Ancestral Healing there to save from a potential burst. As Raynor is going to be the last pickup here for a Weatherbane. And for Zirconium League, these are the drafts for the last game in this best of 3 series. Will the reverse sweep be completed, or will Bancho be able to finish out what they started in game number 1? Alright. Poll is live. I'll go ahead and look over that once we get into the game and we have the votes in. But I think both of these drafts are strong. I will say, again, I think the macro is in favor of Zirconium League here. They have a double soaker who I would consider much stronger than the other team's offlaner. At least in that double soak macro focus. But if the ganks come out, if the micro play is strong from Bancho, we might see a repeat of game 1. Might see the Probius fall for the 3rd time in Tlem's NGS history. But let's not speculate too much. Let's get into the game here. Starting out with our left team here. Zirconium League looking to complete the reverse sweep with Shadonis on Malthael, a Weatherbane on Raynor, Deadon on ETC, Tlem's on Probius, and Lulu playing Anduin. Against them, looking to reclaim their title to claim the title for this series, we're gonna see Bluestein on the Rhaegar, Skev on the Johanna, Shusui on Sylvanas, Kinal on Hanzo, and Ronin on Sonya. It's Bancho. Alright, pleasantries are exchanged. It's time to get into the game. Looking at the level 1 matchups, we're gonna see pretty standard talents here on a Pale Horse, gonna enable quick rotations for Shadonis, as we're going to see Sonya already rotating up for Ronin playing the hero. Laws of Hope actually the pick here for Skev, so looking for the extra sustain rather than the potential for extra aggression with the trait talent there, which I can't remember for some reason. Hold your ground there. And rotations again look to be going a bit faster for the side of Zirconium League, but they're also doing a really good job of poking out on the side of Bancho with Quinal on his Hanzo, trying to complete his level 1 there. The target practice, gotta hit each of the enemy heroes at least once to get some extra range, and 3 times for some extra damage. I've seen him complete that very quickly. Nice sliding body blocks onto Skev, but going to be able to get out just fine. As Quinal with some aggressive positioning here, looking to get onto the enemy team, get some autos and some Q stacks, while Shusui and Bluestein already starting out their camp and getting it out earlier. We'll have to see, do they go for the invade? I would not expect it here. Quinal actually taking a ton of damage. It gets finished off. First blood now for Zirconium League, and Skev taking a bunch of damage as well. Quinal getting a bit too cocky there against the Raynor and Weatherbane, punishing him for that. Progrock is the level 1 pickup for ETC. He's looking at 5 out of the 20 globes necessary for that. Will be able to help his team sustain out against this really pokey enemy team that Bancho has fielded for the matchup. Talents otherwise looking pretty normal. We do actually have the Behemoth armor coming in for the side of Rhaegar, so looking for extra bulk rather than the potential anti-burst that you can get from the Adrenaline Rush talent there that you might normally see taken. I'm going to keep an eye on the experience during this game, watching the offlaners. Right now, Sonya actually soaking a little bit faster than Malthael, catching a few more waves as we did see rotations from Zirconium League into the middle lane with the 4-man a few times. But we'll have to see how that goes throughout the game here. Probius sitting at 4 out of his 20 stacks on the level 1. That is a very big power spike when he's able to get it, but a power slide comes onto Quinol, and that's 2 more Warp Rifts landing as Quinol on the Hanzo gets blown up for the 2nd time, positioning a bit too aggressively here, trying to get the autos out and getting punished heavily. Really excellent play from the ETC, from Raynor, and from Probius. As the top is going to be traded as you would expect, and the bottom lane going to be won thanks to that kill for the side of Zirconium League, looking good in the early game. We're going to have a bit of a scoop build, as it has been called, here with the Conviction on Johanna, looking for some extra aggression and pull onto the back line, not wanting to let the Probius sit back and be comfy as he is prone to be. So we'll have to see how that works out for Bancho, as they're looking to be a little bit behind in this early game. We're going to have the Touch of Death for Malthael, looking for the healing reduction. See if that comes out as being very strong for him, as really great work around this Probius dead on, always waiting for the Warp Rifts to come out and then CCing to make sure that those hits land, sitting at 8 now, and you saw how much damage Skev playing Johanna took from that. So when that lands onto a squishy, they will not be long for this world. Malthael double soaking now a bit faster than the Sonya, as each team gets onto their sapper camp, wanting to push these in. The first one did push in for the side of Zirconium League, so getting a good bit of structure value there. As now, teams going to be poking away at each other, and Dead On taking a bunch of damage on the ETC. Skev blinding Raynor. They're going to have to try and turn around the momentum in this bottom lane a little bit, and Sonya rotating in a bit before Malthael here, looking to potentially get some value, but ultimately, offlaner is going to go soak as the objective phase spawns here. Sylvanas getting hit by the power slide, put into the Warp Rifts, and gets away with 20 health. Barely surviving is Shusui, but a Weather Vane going to be able to get the channel here. Almost. Skev interrupting it there. Well played, as the offlaners looks like going to be dueling over the mid shrine here, but the main fight in the bottom lane as level 7s are in for both teams, and Dead On the ETC taking a ton of damage. Going to have to get pulled away by Luli, but again, Quinol distracted, looking for the kill, and gets blown up by Tlems. This is why his Probius is so respected and banned out, because when he's able to get it and be effective with it, he is destructive. Malthael wins out the top altar there, but the poke is enough here that it's still a fight over the bottom altar, and Hanzo should be up to help fight over this, as Skev going to get another interrupt with the shield glare there. Will they commit? Looks like no. Bancho potentially giving it up? Nope, they're just sitting around. Sonya is soaking the middle lane. I don't know why Zirconium League didn't go ahead and pick that up there, but going to get it now, and that is going to be with the level 10 talents in early. A 3-0 kill lead and a 36-24, so 12-shot lead for Zirconium League. They're looking very strong in this early game, as they're going to grab Hyperion, Last Rites, Light Bomb, Mosh Pit, and once again the Null Gate. Aggressive flank here, going to get Mosh onto Johanna, as she is going to get hit by the Warp Rifts there, the double Warp Rift from Tlems, but the Light Bomb not going to be enough to save a Weather Vane, as the re-engage comes out from the side of Bancho, and very well played there, going to get their first kill, as Tlems not able to finish the blow up, and the backline able to do some work for Bancho. And now, looking to get onto the blue team's sapper camp here. Ronin rotates in just to be safe, make sure that no aggression comes in from Zirconium League, and that if it does, it is met with a fair response here. And those sappers should go in pretty easily here. Knockbacks do come out to try and help, but going to be all three going in, going to grab that turret here. So some nice turnaround potential here from Bancho. They have their level 10s with the Ancestral, Wrath of the Berserker, Blessed Shield, Wailing Arrow, and the Dragon Arrow, but with Shadonis rotating in, that's going to be a camp steal now for Zirconium League onto the blue team Sappers, and with a Blessed Shield into the Hanzo Arrow, that is going to be the fall of Probius, and a perfectly timed Ancestral will briefly save Johanna, but she'll eventually fall. Last right stack was denied, but it's a 2-for-1 trade so far. Blue's team, though, caught out on the wrong side of the map here, trying to evade a Weather Vane on the Rainer and potentially going to be able to, but dead on, chasing him on the ETC. Bluestein trying to get away, but the Power Slide will finish him off. That's a 2-for-2 trade, but the staggered death on Rainer means we might be seeing again an objective 1 here for Zirconium League, unless Ronin is able to get the kill here onto a Weather Vane. Looks like it won't be happening though, and with the healer alive for Zirconium League now, defensive position for the side of Bancho, as Ronin taking a ton of damage, going in and not respecting Probius, going to get punished for it. Quinol finishes his level 1 there, but it's going to be another altar for Zirconium League. XP from offlaners? Yes, I can. Looking at only a 500 XP lead here, and being mashed now pretty much by Ronin. So well played from both the offlaners here. Ronin needs to be careful. Last right's going to come out, and that's going to be him falling. Good timing to switch onto them, as that's going to be a solo kill for Malthael. Once again, a little bit of cocky play from Bancho going to result in one of their heroes falling. Not quite respecting the potential from the enemy offlaner there. Looking at stats right now, Quinol putting in the damage here as ETC is going to go in for the mosh, gets interrupted in the Light Bomb and Null Gate, getting it no value. A nice disengage, lots of ults being used, but ultimately neither team really getting anything from it. Hyperion will of course do some structure damage, actually gets the turret there thanks to the Yamato cannon, I believe that is, but it's ultimately just going to be a clean disengage. As I was saying, looking at stats, Quinol currently highest is actually the gank comes onto Shadonis and he's going to fall. And that is a nice pickup, as the Sapper camp is spawning. Tlem's trying to zone out with the Null Gate, so his team should be able to get this. But Johanna uses the Unstoppable and is going to be getting on top of it. So it is a successful steal here for the side of Bancho. Once again, still looking pretty good, despite their struggles over the objective phases so far, as level 13s are here for both teams. And talents, you can see them, you can tell me if you like them or not. Face Melt now for Dead On, actually. So second time seeing that, not going for the cooldown reduction as well. Interesting choices, interesting choices. We also have the tidal waves for Rhaegar, very strong if you don't need that extra shield to help make sure the ancestral healing gets out. So we'll have to see how much value that does or does not get, but a huge Dragon Arrow is going to come out and secure the kill onto Rainer. Shadonis on the Malthael will fall next, as well as Lulu on the Anduin, and everything's going wrong as 4 kills will come out for the side of Bancho. Tlems finishes his level 1 quest, but that is a small victory in what is now a double Ultra Phase plus boss for Bancho, and a lot of comeback XP, evening it up and actually giving them the lead in kills. So Bancho now trying to turn this around in the mid game. Go ahead and check the XP again. We're going to see Malthael actually a bit ahead now, despite the gank onto him. But overall XP very close for these two teams. And looking at stats, still looking similar. Quinol on the Hanzo and a Weather Vane on the Rainer, putting in the most damage for their teams respectively. But honestly, this has been such an even matchup. It is it can go either way here, I think. Alright, looks like the push is coming in here for the side of Bancho, trying to weaken up these structures, taking out the turret before their Sapper camp comes in. But with the extra warp rift here from Tlems on the Probius. We're going to have to see if they're able to successfully defend the Sapper Camp. No, they won't. It's going to fall, or at least 2 have fallen so far, 1 left, but I wouldn't expect it to get that much value, even if it does get in, which it will. The wave is going to just get nuked, and with Sonya rotating in, Malthael going to push in the lane in mid and top, and that will show in the XP here, as now he is 3,000 XP ahead of Sonya. Alright, level 16s are in for both teams, looking at pretty normal talents again. Yeah, nothing really of note there. But we do have Bancho opting again for the aggressive invade option here, pushing onto Shadonis on the Malthael. Tlems comes in aggressively to use the Null Gate to try and interrupt, but it won't be enough. Bluestein, barely outside of the hitbox there, gets the channel. And now, that is a favorable trade here, potentially for Bancho, evening it up if they get their own altar here, but it's going to be a team fight first, as the as the Dragon Arrow and the Light Bomb both come out, as well as the Ancestral and the Last Rites. Big Mosh Pit gets interrupted, and ETC will fall, but Rhaegar falls closely after, followed by Sonya and Malthael, 2 for 2 so far, but the healer and Raynor getting very low for Zirconium League, and it's going to be Lulu on that Anduin falling, and a 2 for 3 team fight favoring Bancho. They're going to even up the shots. Looking at the bottom lane, neither team has been able to get one of these forts yet, and while it looks like it's favoring Zirconium League, recently it has been looking more and more so in favor of Bancho, as they were able to take down pretty much this entire wall, I think, since that fort got low. And with Shusui on the Sylvanas, they're going to look to pressure in this even more, and even looking potentially for a Weatherbane. Huge cube comes out from Hanzo, and with the Scatter Arrow, that is a stagger death just as Anduin and Malthael are coming back, and that will be the fort being captured for Bancho. Big pickup there, and now XP looking more so in favor of Bancho, almost a level lead now at this point, which means they will get level 20s here pretty soon. And that is looking dangerous for the side of Zirconium League, as they aren't ahead in core health anymore, so they gotta find a way to turn this around, and soon. Malthael will be rotating in here, trying to help his team in the defense against these sappers. With Probius, they should be able to do that, I think, very effectively. But we'll have to see here. Sonya going to be pushing in the top lane for the moment, as she is not being met. Raynor is back up in time for this objective phase, and it looks like 20 is only about a wave and a half maybe away for the side of Bancho. So this may be a 1 phase for them already, since it is also defended by that bottom lane tower, which they have taken control of. We'll have to see if Zirconium League risks it, or if they give it away. Looks like it will be the latter. Oh, maybe not. Shadonis trying to stall a little bit, but I think stalling won't get them anything. They either need to force right now, which it looks like they will. Nullgate coming out onto Skev, as well as the Dragon Arrow coming out from Hanzo. Shadonis with the Light Bomb onto 3. Hits big. Mosh Pit, though, again, getting interrupted and getting nothing. Ronan is living so long thanks to the Whirlwind and the Wrath of the Berserker. That's ETC and Malthael, as well as Raynor falling. Lulu getting slowed by Bluestein and going to fall as well. That's 4 for nothing. 20 talents coming in, but not even being picked, not needed, as that's going to be 5 shots coming out in favor of Bancho, and a huge team fight win, going to allow them to push in, as Tlems on his Probius is the only survivor here. And I don't know, I don't think that was a fight that Zirconium League wanted. I think they wanted to use that time maybe during the objective to try and push in this bottom lane. They do have some solid push pressure with Raynor and Probius, but now they're down about a level. Should get their 20 talents in time before this game ends. That being said, Sonya defending the bottom lane and 4 pushing in the top lane. Maybe I have misspoken, as this is going to be the barrage beginning for Bancho, and I think while there is push pressure, I don't think that they can quite push in against a surviving enemy team. And now it is up to Zirconium League to try and save this game. Bancho going to jump onto the boss, which will get them 4 shots. That means there's about 5 shots time for Zirconium League to try and come back here. The play of the game coming out from Hanzo, coming into the bottom lane, and that is going to be the recapture into the bottom lane, but Core down to 3 health at this point for Zirconium League. And that is a double objective phase. Zirconium League gonna use this time to try and retake the mid keep as well. Will be able to do so successfully, but they need to defend the sappers and they need to defend both objectives, and they need to get here quickly. Only a few seconds left until these objectives spawn, and Dead On gets caught in the bush and blown up. Deathmosh comes out since the 20s were there, and that's a lot of damage onto Shusui, but he's gonna get the Ancestral, so he will not be killed by the last rites. And now Shadonis low on the Malthael, a Weather Vane barely getting away, not even actually, on the Rainer, and that is going to be a 3-0, and the final game in this series going over to Bancho. GG. All right. So first pick, winning every game this series. I didn't check the poll there. Darn. But regardless of what the poll said, we have Bancho coming from Div D, being the champions there and taking out the mixed team here of Wood League and Wood Tap that in Zirconium League. Showing their strength here in Div C East and taking the 2-1 win. I think there was a lot of strength from the side of Zirconium League, but Bancho played excellently around the Mosh, and it almost feels like Mosh just ended up in ETC dying more often than not. The early game kills came a lot from punishing the missed positions on the DPS, but as the DPS from Bancho were able to not worry about a power slide when Mosh was coming out, they were able to successfully win team fights, and there were definitely some rough team fights that I think Zirconium League could have given up, which resulted eventually in the win here for Bancho, but excellently played series from both teams. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to Bluestein, see if we can get an interview potentially here from one of the members of Bancho. All right. Let me see here if I can get an interview going for us. Oh, as we're jumping to that scene accidentally. I'm goofing up. All right. I'll have to see if we have him joining here. His team was victorious tonight. Very well played series. But yeah, looking at the stats there, I'll pull back to those for the moment. Lots of damage coming out from Quinel now. Once again, topping the damage for the game. And it looks like we should have one of the members of Bancho, probably the captain here in Bluestein, coming in any moment for this interview, hopefully. Theoretically. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing well. That was a very exciting series, and you guys have to feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah, very good. Extremely hard fought. They're like insanely tough matchup, and there was really no separation in all 3 games. So, just a shout out to them. Great game, and that was tough. I'm happy to come out on the other end of it.
Definitely. So, coming into this game, what were you guys looking at? Had you done some research, or were you going in blind? How were you feeling?
We had done some research. We obviously knew that Propius was someone that they like to play, so we kind of tried to prioritize some heroes that might not get obliterated by his the voids, I guess. Yeah, and we kind of just tried to not to get too thrown off by what they were doing and just kind of stick to our game, but at the same time being pretty cognizant of the type of heroes they like to play and just adjust accordingly.
Definitely, and I think that turned out really well for you in the first game. I know you looked very strong. It looked a bit shaky in the beginning, but you caught a boss that they were going for, and it seemed like it was from that point when you got the steal on, it just seemed pretty much consistently in your favor. So definitely looked good in game one. But as far as game two, what would you say was the thing that went wrong there? How do you think they mixed it up to stop you all?
I think for the most part, we made pretty good calls. We were doing the right thing, and we kind of, as a group, agreed after they won that game that that last objective we probably would have preferred to defend instead of attack, because I think we were in a good spot there. Um, but you know what? Like we went for the race, and hindsight's 2020, and once they
Yeah,
got it, it was over. But I think, yeah, in retrospect, we probably would have liked to defend there instead of going after the race, and they did a great job. They took advantage.
definitely. All right, so then looking at game three, so they brought back in Tlems, so I'm certain you guys were expecting the Proteus. What was your game plan? Just same as game one, or were you thinking they were going to try and mix it up?
We were ready for the Proteus again. I think uh, we know that like who his alternative heroes would have been as well, so we were kind of prepared for all angles. I think so. We did a pretty good job on that front. But yeah, mostly it was like Towers of Doom is very specific, like oriented type of map. So regardless of what they did, it's it's not too difficult to plan out for another team. So I think we just again mostly stuck to the game plan and went forward that way.
All right, well, you guys made the comeback on Towers to take the series. I have one question before I let you give any shout outs you have. So if you had to give an MVP to anyone for the series on either team, who would you say was the MVP for the series?
MVPs. Okay, so I'll go for my team first. For my team, I don't know about like I think every game had a different MVP, but in the third game to turn it around, I thought Ronan did a great job on the Sonya, really being aggressive. Um, that really was like a big fight that turned it for us is when he kind of just went like spin to win on four people, and we were able to follow up with a Hanzo arrow. So that was kind of his call, and we just really followed up and backed him up. So that was a big thing for us, and yeah, I'd give the MVP to Ronan this time. He did a great job against the Malthael.
Definitely. All right, well, the floor is yours. Any shout outs you want to give before I let you go?
Yeah, shout out to you, obviously. Thanks for the cast, and to everyone who was watching. Oh, we always appreciate going back and watching the video and seeing everyone cheer on the NGS. So that's great. And shout out to the teammates of ours who didn't get into this matchup. So Slugadin and Spice. So thanks, guys. And yeah, that's it. Everyone stay indoors.
All right, well, thank you. That was an awesome matchup. I'll go ahead and let you go. Have a good one.
Thanks.
All right, so that was Band Show. Played an excellent series for us. Very impressive from both sides. I don't think I could have said. I don't think I could have asked for anything better. So well played, both teams. Skev calling out Quinnell for MVP in the chat, and Shusui calling out the Rhaegar ults on both sides for the MVP. So definitely excellent play from both sides. Thank you everyone who came out tonight for joining me. Thank you for all the new follows. I'm gonna go ahead and try and find us a raid, but if you would like, I have the command in the title as well. If you want to do !feedback, NGS has encouraged us to get some feedback, and I'd love to hear some feedback for the cast. Let me know how you enjoyed it. Let me know if you hated me. That's okay. I promise my feelings won't be hurt. But overall, just thanks everyone for coming out. We're gonna go ahead and try and find us a raid here. All right, perfect. We're gonna go ahead and raid over to Murda. He's currently casting a Div 2 or Div B West matchup between the Abba Murky Cult and Arrogant Nephilim, two very strong teams. So go ahead, show him some love. Thank you everyone who came out. I'll catch you all later.